Let us all reminisce on the nights of the early 2000s to 2010s. Perhaps you were around 10 years old around the time and you decided out one night that you wanted to watch some creepypasta stories. After reading, watching, or even listening to people narrate the stories for you, you decide that you probably will not be able to go to sleep because you are so scared of what's going to happen in the night if you do, because of these creepy characters. Well, if you remember the time of creepypasta, then you remember like no other that there were some scary stories, or at least scary stories that we thought were scary at the time, though now we have grown up and realized some of these stories were not well written at all. Well, we're not going to be paying any mind to that today. Rather, instead, I'm going to be rereading you these stories and then giving you an idea of whether or not I could beat these characters in a fight or not. But for those who are blissfully unaware of what a creepypasta is, or for those who didn't grow up with them, allow me to explain to you in a short summary what a creepypasta truly is. Creepypastas are supposed to be scary stories which are spread around, and they are usually short or long-formed stories. The most infamous that you have likely heard of, if you are not familiar with the idea of a creepypasta, are the things like The Rake, the Russian Sleep Experiment, and Candle Cove maybe even too. However, to give you an even better idea of what these creepypastas are or where they originate from, I'll give you some popular name listings as well. Names like Slender Man, Jeff the Killer, or even Laughing Jack, 3 characters of which have been popularized or even have their own movies. Which most of those movies suck, by the way. If you haven't ever watched them or have watched them, I do not recommend them. But without further ado, let's get on track with this stuff. I hope you will enjoy the video. I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played glitchy or hacked games before, though I don't think I want to play any after the experience I had. It started on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. I like how you get to explore the towns it in. Until I noticed, out of my peripheral vision, that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox, as usual, and left. I paused my game to go see what I got in the mail. The only thing in the mailbox was a CD case for computers and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note first and realized it was from my dear friend Kyle, let's just call him that, whom I haven't heard from for 2 weeks. I know that because I recognize his handwriting. Though, what was weird is how it looked. It looked badly written and scratchy, and somewhat difficult to read, as if Kyle was having a hard time writing it down and was in a hurry. This is what he wrote. Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow, before it was too late. I was hoping that you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me. And if you don't destroy the CD, he'll come after you too. He's too fast for me. Please, Tom, destroy this godforsaken disc. It's before it's too late and he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc, and you'll destroy him. But do it quick, otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even play the game. That's what he wants. Just destroy it. Please. Kyle. Well, that was certainly weird, even though Kyle is my best friend and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. I didn't do what he asked me. I don't think that simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, was I wrong about that. Anyway, I looked at the disc, and it looks like any ordinary computer CDR disc, except it had black marker on it and written Sonic.EXE, and it was much unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must have gotten it from somewhere else, like a pawn shop or eBay. When I saw Sonic on the writing of the CD, I was actually excited and wanted to play it, since I'm a big Sonic fan. I went up to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc inside and installed the game. When the title popped up, I noticed something that was first a Sonic game. I was like, awesome. Because like I said earlier, I like the classics. The first thing I noticed I was out of place when I pressed start. There's a split second of where I saw this title image turn into something much different. Something that I now consider horrifying before cutting to black. I remember what the image looked like in the split second before the game cut to black. The sky had darkened. The title album was rusted and ruined. The second 1991 was now Sega 666, and the water had turned red like blood. But the freakiest thing I saw in that split-second frame was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding, with 2 glowing red dots staring right at me, and his smile stretched wider up on the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed by the image when I saw it, though I figured that it was just a glitch and forgot about it. After it cut to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so. and then another weird thing happened. The save file select from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up, and I was like, what the fuck? Or, in other words, WTF? What's this doing in the first Sonic game? Anyway, then I noticed something was off. The background was the dark, cloudy sky and the bad Stardust Speedway level from Sonic CD, and there were only 3 save files. The music was that creepy caverns in the winter of music from Earthbound, only it was extended and it seemed to have been in reverse, and the image for the save file where you see a preview of the level you're on is just red static with all 3 files. What freaked me out the most was the character select. It showed Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now I knew something was up. I mean, how could you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic game? For crying out loud. That's when I realized this wasn't a glitchy game, it was a hacked game. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. Y'all, can y'all tell I'm struggling right now? I just had like 2 mouthfuls of like salt in my mouth, so you should really speak with a lisp.
We will return shortly. Thank you for your patience.
That's when I realized it wasn't a glitchy game, it was a hacked game. Yeah, I definitely looked hacked. It was really creepy, but as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared, or at least I tried not to be.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had to add these 2 moments from Snapcube because I just got reminded of them after reading that.
Well, you see, it's a gamer pad. Not many girls come in here because I get friend zoned so frequently. It's not as pleasant as you'd think. They don't treat you like a friend. They treat you like an item. Sometimes I wish I could be more than just an accessory to these women. But unfortunately, as a gamer, I don't get respect.
I told myself that it was just a hacked game and there was nothing wrong with it. Anyways, shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked file 1 and chose Tails and started the game. The game froze for about 5 seconds and I heard a creepy pixelated laugh that sounded an awful lot like that Kefka guy from Final Fantasy before cutting to black. Why are there so many game references in this? Holy shit. So we have Earthbound, we got Robotnik in this, and then we have Kefka from Final Fantasy. This is horrible. I've never read the original Creepypasta, I've only heard narrations of it, but like this shit is god awful. I know this is probably like a rewritten one too, but still. The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more. Why are you counting like every second that happens? Do you happen to be counting like every second like the screen is black or like fades to black or like shows a glimpse of like a screen for a second? Like, I swear to God. Then it showed a typical level title thing, except the simplistic shapes were different shades of red and text showed only Hill Act 1. The screen faded in and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in the Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. The music was different though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing and had Tails running through like you would in And what was odd was that Tails running along the level, there was nothing but flat ground and a few trees for 5 minutes. And when the peaceful music started to slow down into very deep tones, very slowly as I kept going, I suddenly saw something happen and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals lying dead on the floor, on the ground, bleeding. That was when the music started to slow down. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face, moving as I saw more dead animals. Tails moved past them, looking more and more worried as the music lowers, and he moves past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. They all looked like somebody killed them in rather gruesome ways. After a minute passed and after the music stopped, Tails was running up the hill, and he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen, and his back against Tails with his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faltered, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him, if not acting as if he was totally oblivious of Tails' presence. Tails slowly walked towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving the keyboard to make him move. So this had to be the cutscene. Suddenly, I began to grow a feeling of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger and something bad was about to happen. I heard faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic, and stopped and struck his hand out to touch him. That foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger as I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic. As the static grew louder, suddenly, a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open. They were black with those same red dots glowing. just like that title image, though there wasn't a smile. When I saw what happened to the screen turned black and the static sound was off. He stayed like that for about 7 seconds, and while text appeared, forming a message saying,
Hello. Do you want to play with me?
At this point, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue the game, but my curiosity got the better of me when I was taken to a different level with the title saying Hide and Seek. I was in the Angel Island level of Sonic 3, and everything was on fire. Tails looked at me as though he was scared, or out of his wits. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures at me, as if he wanted me to get out of there as fast as he can. I was starting to get freaked out by this point. I mean, Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall, trying to tell me to get him out of there. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I can. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I could and made him run as fast as he possibly could. A pixelated version of the creepy theme, where you meet Shadow at the Ark as Robotnik from SA2, was playing, and I made Tails trek through the desolate forest, trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run away from. Suddenly I heard a creepy laugh, that awful Kefka laugh. Right after 10 seconds have passed as I helped Tails run away through the forest. And then I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping up everywhere on the screen, again with his black red eyes. The music changed to that suspenseful drowning jingle that I see Sonic from behind slowly gaining up on Tails, flying. Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying. He had the most deranged grin on his face. He looked as though he was enjoying the torment he was giving to the poor little fox as he gained up on him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there, starting to cry for 15 seconds. But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to come down those blackened eyes of Sonic's. As the grin slowly grew on his face, he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right away. Before the screen went to black, there was a loud screeching noise that sounded like it lasted only 5 seconds. The text returned. Only this time, it said,
You're too slow. Want to try again?
And that god-awful laugh came with it. I was so shocked by what happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, he couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best friends, right? Why did Sonic do that to him? I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select. The laugh came again, and the screen cut out to black and stayed there for about 10 seconds. This time, the level said, You can't run. The next level looked much different. I noticed that Knuckles looked afraid, just like Tails did. More rather, he looked a little unnerved. He broke the fourth wall just like Tails, and looked as if he was unsure of what was going on, but it made him move anyway. He ran straight down the pathway in this dark level, and as he did, the screen started to flicker with red static a couple times, and then that maddening laugh came back. Then, after a few seconds of running, I noticed several bloodstains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear, again, thinking that something horrible was about to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated, walking down the blood-stained road, but I still kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with his black and red eyes, and then red static appeared again when the static vanished. Nothing but a black screen with the text saying,
Found you.
I was not scared. Sonic found Knuckles already? What was going on? Anyway, red static came again, and then I was right back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope to God it wasn't, honestly. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles in what appeared to be a pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn and punch Sonic, but Sonic vanished in the black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. Then Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles again, and then I made him punch him again, and then Sonic vanished again laughing. Knuckles was panicking even more, and even I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick little twisted mind game with me and Knuckles. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell on his knees and clutched his head, sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. And then in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles as the screen went black. Another text message appeared saying,
girls to play with. So little time. Would you agree?
What the hell? I started to think Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. I was scared and looking around for the source of the voice. Won't be long until you join him and all my other friends. I saw him walking toward me, flickering in and out. You can't run, kid. You're in my world now, just like the others. I saw him walking toward me, flickering in and out in several directions. When he grabbed me, I saw his bleeding black and red-eyed, grinning face. I woke up with a fright. Turned on the game and selected Robotnik next. But anyway, the level title appeared, and this time it said ... Very scary. Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous as Tails or Knuckles did, but he did have a suspicious look on his face, as if he was a bit paranoid. He did his usual running animation. As we continued going through the hallway, then I stopped at a long flight of stairs leading downward. Now I was nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure of himself. And then I heard that horrid Kefka laugh again when the music slowly faded until it was quiet. When Robotnik landed in the third hallway, I noticed he looked really creeped out, though he tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him. I was scared too. Suddenly, Sonic popped right in front of Robotnik in the same way he did Knuckles, and then red static. The red static lasted for 15 seconds, and then he showed me the most unpleasant image. He looked so real, you could actually see the lines in his blue fur. You could actually feel the fur if you touched the screen, his face. And now here's me putting effort into voice acting this one character for some reason. Oh god. He had the most horrifying smile I had ever seen. His eyes are wide and black, once again crying blood, and there were two small glowing dots in those black eyes staring right at me, as if he was staring into my mind. His grin was wide and demonic. He literally stretched to the size of his face, like a Cheshire cat. Sorry, let me get back to the emotion. Sonic had fangs, very sharp fangs. Much like the werehog's teeth, except more vicious looking, somewhat yellowish from the look of it. He had streams of blood and the small bits of flesh on his lips. And the fangs, as if he ate some animal. I stared at the gruesome image for a good 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off it. I actually felt like something was staring at me, smiling at me. That face, it just took 10 seconds to etch itself into my brain for good. The screen flickered with red static 3 times, and on the third time, I heard the Kefka laugh, except this time it sounded more distorted, demonic even. I went back to the image, except this time, there was text again, and it was messed up. This time, I'm pretty sure this was the most horrifying things I had ever seen in a game. It was when I read that message. While Sonic was looking at me when I hit, I realized right then and there, Sonic was a monster, a pure evil, sadistic, all-powerful, nightmarish, demented monster. And all of his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and possibly even Kyle, are all just his little toys. And the game is his very gateway into this chaotic, nightmarish world, and the very hell his victims are trapped in. Suddenly, in an actual split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, screaming loudly with his mouth wide open at an unnatural length, revealing nothing but a spiraling abyss of pure darkness before the red static came again, this time much louder and distorted, so it hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed my ears as the red static screeched for a good 7 seconds. Then it stopped and showed nothing but a black screen. I sat there staring at the black screen one last time as the text message came up.
Ready for round 2.
The Kefka laugh, now sounding more clear as if Sonic was right behind me. Then I got booted back to the main menu, and this time, the third save file had a TV image of Robotnik in the back, in the same tormented state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin was a dull gray, and his mustache drooped and had blackened. His glasses broke, and blood was coming from them, and he had a mere dead-like expression on his face. They were forever trapped within this game, forever tormented by the horrid hedgehog. Did the computer shut off on its own? I couldn't turn it back on no matter what I did. I sat there for maybe 25 seconds, horrified by what just happened. Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortures people who play his game in more ways than one. And he drags you, when he gets bored, he drags you into the game. Literally drags you to hell, where he can play with you always as his toy. I can't get the game out of my computer. I think it's stuck in there. But at least I managed to turn it back on for now. After I sat there for 25 seconds, I heard a voice right behind me, like a whisper.
Keep this interesting for me.
I turned around to see the voice from where the voice came from, and it made me scream, sitting on my bed, staring right at me, with a Sonic plushie, smiling with blood stains under its eyes. So one of the ways that I think anyone would theoretically come up with when it comes to beating this creepypasta, sorry if it sounds like it's recorded like months or days later, because it is, but there are multiple ways of going about it. One of them being a turn off the game, which is probably the most logical and what mostly everyone here has probably thought of already. If you're gonna freak out over the game, just turn off the game. It's not gonna hurt you then. And one may begin to argue with me saying, hey, no, you can't turn off the game because he can turn it back on. But if you read the stories and the second continuation, actually all three pieces of the story, he only has access to the world, the human world, living world, through the CD. So if you just don't play it all the way through, you're gonna be fine theoretically. You're just not gonna get hurt. That's it. Okay, but what about the Sonic plush? Well, it's simple, really. If you're gonna freak out over the Sonic plush, then I don't think you've really thought through what the hell you're supposed to kind of do with that. He's a demonic entity for fucking crying out loud. He's not gonna like reach out and be like, ooh, hey, come get in my game, please. Like majority analog horror or new Sonic.EXE fan games that are made. So the other thing that you could do is that you could use shit like holy water or like exercise the damn plush, or for one, the more logical idea of instead of wasting stuff like that could be just throw the plush away. Maybe dismember it first and like throw away the body parts in separate areas, that way it doesn't come back. Thirdly, and something that Tom could have done, but obviously he didn't because he's a creepypasta character and he's poorly written, he could have just like fucking listened to Kyle's note and be like, okay, my friend is clearly in distress. Let me just go ahead and follow what he wrote down on this paper here and throw the fucking disc away and destroy it and throw it away. Like, it wasn't that hard to really think of like the other solution that you could have done. You could have just listened to Kyle, but no, here we are, Tom, you fucking dumbass. Oh, wonderful JC the hyena, what would we ever do without you? You make my brain hurt, and you make my mind wander in places about how the hell your creepypasta characters get in these predicaments. Oh, JC the hyena, how you make my English vocabulary very shortened every time I read your stories. We bless thou for bringing us this foul creature that you have blessed upon the world, and that has built a small community because of it. Oh, JC the hyena, how I thank you for having me meet some of my friends even though you weren't really any part of it, and I'm just kind of thanking you for no reason here. Oh, how I hope you never write again and pick up a pencil and paper and think to yourself, before I do this, who the hell am I gonna make suffer first? Who deserves to have their brain be melted into nothing but mush because of what they did to me? Oh, JC the hyena, how I hope you never pick up a pencil or paper again, because in that way, at least I'd have a few brain cells left. But as of now, I think I've lost them all to the capsule of time at this point from reading your story and having to listen to myself narrate it over and over again for this video. Oh, Jason the hyena, how you make my voice hurt, how you make my mind feel numb and like I'm about to fucking die because of what I've just read. Not because it's scary, but because of how fucking dumb it was to me to understand what the hell you were trying to even convey. Oh, Jason the hyena, how you make my throat feel in pain and how you make my voice ache. I hope you never write again. This little bloody hedgehog that you created, though, will always have a place in my heart because deep down I know I will never be able to escape him no matter how hard I try because my friends are addicted to it. Godspeed, Spider-Man. Godspeed.